I was in my car, which if you want a visual for it, it's a red Honda Accord 2006. She's old. Like, my mom drove this car from when I was little. I've been in this car my whole life, and now it's mine. Stickers all over it. So, I was in my car, and I pull out of the elementary school that I used to go to in Tucson. So, I can tell you all these locations in real life because they're in my dreams. So, in Sonita Valley Elementary, but it looks different in my dreams. I pull out of the parking lot down to a little intersection, not a four-way stop, but you know how streetlights look. If you're watching, probably, I don't know, maybe you don't drive. But I turn left at the intersection, and I'm going down another road, and then I turn into a gas station area. It looked like a little log cabin, and now that I think about it, my boyfriend and I play Minecraft together, and it's like a, this is our show, you can't watch it without me type of thing, but you can't play the game without me type of thing. So when he was out for a weekend, unable to play, I went on a trek and built him a log cabin because he really wanted one, and when he came back, I surprised him with it, and it looked like my Minecraft log cabin, but not Minecraft, like real materials, but this was a gas station. I could see vending machines in through a little window, and the rows of snacks and stuff, and pull-offs for gas pumps. So I park in front, the pumps are forward to my left, and I'm looking through a side window before you go to the back, and then the front is over to the left. So I go out at night, and I park my car in front of the gas station. It's like a convenience store log cabin, and I start walking left towards these woods that, now that I'm awake, look like the woods that I used to go into where my secret hideout was in Alaska, but they're covered in snow. Just snow everywhere. I'm trudging through it. It's up to my calf, over my ankle. Trudging through the snow, through the woods, down a little trail, and I went mule deer hunting because I can hear other people around me in camo with their packs and their guns talking about how, the hunt might get closed, dude. It's so dangerous. Everybody gets hurt every year, and people are going, missing and having to end up in the hospital if they get found, or, people are having accidents. The hunt might get closed. They might close the hunt. It's oh, dude, I don't want them to close the hunt. I have fun in this hunt every year. So I'm going mule deer hunting. And I am walking through the woods down this trail, and I get to, a frozen over lake. So, snow over everything. I can see woods on the other side if you want to cross it. But while I'm going down there, right before I hit the lake, I can see it in the distance. Maybe I'm 40 yards away. In my dream, I recognized it as a goat. But now that I'm awake, maybe it was a piebald deer. It looked like it had horns and it was small and stout, but I don't know. So I see this goat or deer, come running up, trying to go past me with her two babies in tow, and someone takes a shot at it and hits it, and it dies. And I immediately think, that's clearly a mother and not a deer. You can't do that. What the hell? And I was really upset by it, but I kept walking because this is just how this hunt is. It's super crazy. You can't do anything about it. You just gotta keep going through and mind your own business and report it if you see it. So that people like that aren't allowed to come here anymore, so it's enjoyable for everyone else. So I get down to the bank, and they hit that goat deer because they were aiming for a buck, and they completely missed. So I get down to the bank, and there's a huge, fat buck on the middle of the lake. Just big boy, 8-point maybe. Super chunky, super fat. And he's standing in the middle of the lake, and I see a dude on the other side of the lake in camo raise up his gun. I didn't know what it was. All the guns look the same, generic video game shotgun, but clearly not a shotgun, because you don't use that on deer. I see him go to take aim at this deer, and he completely misses and hits the elk standing right next to it. And as soon as he hit the elk, like the side of it fell off, all the skin and fur, and there was exposed bone and meat, and you could see into its chest cavity, and it was like clearly immediately wounded and injured, and he starts like doing his call, screaming, and so he completely misses and hits the elk, and then he like reloads to take another shot to try and put it down and misses the elk. And then on this lake too, there were two birds that kind of looked like storks, but they were more pretty. They had like black pattern, almost like tabby cats around their eyes going down to their necks, and like little feathers flowing out. And I recognized these as endangered birds, and I was like, wow, those are super pretty. So he misses the elk trying to put it down and like shoots off this bird's head. I'm like, oh my god. So I turn around to leave because I'm crying at how upset I am over seeing all this. So in the dream I started crying, and I turned to leave because the elk side was completely torn and exposed. There was bone and muscle. And when I turned around down the path, almost up a hill, even though that's not what it looked like I could recognize in the dream I was walking down a hill, but it wasn't so steep that I couldn't see over the hill. So when I turn back around, I can't see over this hill, and there's someone standing right next to this bird that's just been shot, and it is completely sliced down the middle. Like, you can see neck cavity and stomach open, and it's like dripping blood, super gory and horrible, and I'm crying more, and I just like shield my eyes and run past it. And even though I recognized this bird on the lake to be skinny, when I turned around, it looked more like a pelican-shaped body. So the bird changed as well. So I turn to leave, and I see the bird. I felt horrible in the dream, and I recognized, like, hunting, at least the way I see it, you don't do it because it's fun or because you want to trophy hunt. You do it, at least the way I think it should be done. Hunting is used for preservation of species and environments, because if hunting wasn't around, animals would just suffer through the winter and they would starve and die, instead of just being shot and eaten and used completely. I think it's more of a conservation thing than like a, ooh, look at me, I got this giant buck and I'm the best hunter in the world. I think it should be more of like a spare the animal the pain of going through winter and use all of its body for your own sustenance and things in your home. Mm-hmm. So I recognized in the dream, like, this isn't what hunting should be. There's just chaos and bullets are flying everywhere. People could get hit. No one's practicing hunter safety. I don't even know if they have their gun licenses. All these animals are being hit and killed for no reason, and they're innocent. They don't deserve this. They're suffering everywhere. And I was crying as I was walking out through the woods to go back to my car to go home. And I hated it. And in the dream, I felt horrible for the poor animals, because hunting is about making sure you have a clean shot so you don't cause suffering and make sure you hit the right target. So, like, all the missed deer and then missing the elk again and then hitting that goat deer thing, like, was just wrong to me, completely wrong. So as I'm walking out, I'm reading this directly from Reddit. I lost my place.
It's okay. Take your time.
Okay, so I'm walking out, and a stranger, starts following me. And going like, hey, do you need help to your car? Do you need help getting out of here? Would you allow me to accompany you? This place isn't safe for a pretty young lady like you. Just really predatory, really creepy. And they kept pestering me. I was like, no, I'm fine, thank you, I'm fine. Go enjoy your day, I'm fine, thank you. Please leave me alone, I'm fine. And they wouldn't stop until I said yes. And one thing I remember they said was, they wouldn't let up about following me to my car to make sure a lady like me was safe. So I remember him going, well, I just want to make sure a pretty little lady like you is safe getting back to her vehicle. So we walk, and we're having some sort of like casual conversation. I don't even remember what. And then for the rest of it, we walked in silence until I get back to the gas station thing where my car is. And I'm going, and I remember when I left my car, I had locked the doors and all the windows were rolled up. I always do that because Arizona is like a huge trafficking state, and I'm a little bit paranoid every time I go out. Like, make sure your assets and you are secure. So I remember when I left, everything was fine. So when I come back, he's saying goodbye to me. And now that I'm back, I recognize this person as my friend Alec. Even though in the dream they were still a stranger and I hadn't looked at their face when we were walking through the woods, this was my friend Alec. He was still a stranger in the dream. He was not Alec in the dream. I didn't know his name. I didn't know where he's from, but he had the physique of my friend. And Alec is a huge dude. He's 6'10". He's like almost 300 pounds. He was going to go play football for U of A, but instead decided to go to college for culinary. So just huge guy. And he's part of the drag racing scene here in Tucson. Yeah, so that's him. That's my friend. So I remember being around him in cars all the time. So maybe that's why my dream was like, hey, this is him because car. So we're back. And when we got to my car, I noticed my purse was missing. And I look over and I see him getting into his car to leave with my purse around his arm. So I go over and I remember just taking it back from him like, hey, dude, what the hell? And I take it back. And then I go over to my car and I get in. All the doors are unlocked. The windows are down. My immediate thought is like, shit, someone stole from me. But I'm like, nope, just get out of there. We'll deal with it later. So I fixed all that, locked my doors, rolled up my windows, and I started driving back home. But I noticed someone was following me, so I turned off all my headlights and I drove through a neighborhood. I took like 4 right turns, make sure they're following you before you go insane. So I like turned through all this neighborhood with my lights off till I lost them and ended up at the intersection where I turned left to go to the gas station, but now I'm going straight and I'd lost them through the neighborhood. So, and this is the point where I remembered locations from different dreams, but in the dream I did not recognize them as dream locations. I was like, this is what this town looks like. Even though there was no correlation between these dreams other than the town that I'm in. So, so I even wrote in my post, I'm thinking it's different parts of the same town because I normally don't remember other dreams. And I've even noticed more recently, I'm starting to become a little more aware that I'm dreaming in my dreams. I'll like see things and I'll be like, oh yeah, remember that one time? But it'll be like it actually happened and not in a dream. And then I'll wake up and be like, why am I dumb? So I'm going home, and instead I end up going to college, which is weird because I don't go to college in real life. And I remember going down like a submarine kind of shaft-ish thing, and that also correlates to other dreams because when I was like little, like 8, I used to have dreams where I was in a playground that was a water park. So this playground eventually turned into a huge water park, and for some reason, like the McDonald's play place running through the tunnels and all that. In these younger dreams, I would go to run through tunnels, but to enter these tunnels, they were just these teeny tiny little holes. And I'd be like, I can't fit through that, but I'd get through it, like Santa Claus myself through the chimney somehow. Mm-hmm. Like I remember there was a specific method I had to do it. Like you have to enter head first and not be afraid. Don't even think that you're going through this, and you'll just end up on the other side. Don't even worry about it.
Commit to something that seems impossible and you just kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I remember this kind of like submarine shaft-ish thing, except it's an open area. Like, kind of like how a bullet shell looks, but this is a building. So the top is open and there's an open area and then a ladder, but right in front of me is like the crank. So I enter the school through this ladder. And I drop down to the dorms, little apartment buildings, and I walk down the dorm area, and to the left is like more school. You go downstairs, and there's like a gym area with a pool and a tennis court, and running machines, treadmills, and ellipticals, like a huge gym. And then if you just go right without going down the stairs, it's the cafeteria. So I go there and run into Mace Windu, who is a professor at the college. He's not Mace Windu in my dream. It's just Samuel L. Jackson in his robes, but he's a college professor. There is no lightsaber. And I'm talking to him, and I'm like, oh, hey, where's this professor? I don't even remember his name. I was like, where is this professor? I want to talk to him about something. I don't remember what it was. Yeah, I ended up at my college. I don't go to college in real life. I wanted to share something with a professor who was known for his tennis games and could have gone pro before he was injured, so like before the accident. And I'm talking to Mace Windu like, oh man, he's such a good tennis player. And I think I brought this up because I can see my professor down in like the tennis court area right next to the pools playing tennis with another student. And I was like, oh, he was so talented. He could have gone pro. He could have been in the Olympics. He could have done so well before the accident. And I recognized that this accident had something to do with his knee. I don't know why. So I go down the stairs to talk to him, and I find out that he's murdered someone through the other student he's playing games with because she's confronting him. She's like, I know what you did to so-and-so. I think it was like Sarah or Jessica or something. Like, Sarah is an ex-girlfriend of my boyfriend, and Jessica is my stepsister's name. So, I don't know. But she goes, I know what you did to so-and-so. I'm going to report you to the police. You're going to jail forever. You're never going to get away with this. And he loses it, whips out, like, a hairdryer looking thing, but it has a clear glass dome where you can see what it's sucking up. Basically a handheld vacuum in a hairdryer shape. I don't remember what he says, but he like gets her in a chokehold and puts this to her skull and starts like sucking out pieces of her skull, and it's just her skull and her hair, and you can see her brain intact under it, but it's like slowly gathering more and more, and she's screaming like, is that all you got? Is that the best you can do, you pussy? Wow. Like she's screaming, like egging him on, and then it eventually turns into screams of agony as she's dying. And as this is happening, and I'm witnessing this from across the court, so in the dream I can recognize that I'm on the other side of the gym, but it looks like I'm right there in front of them, close-up shot on this one scene. So he's like sad about it. He goes, oh, that's no fun. I like it when I can just go in there and squish the brains myself, like grab them and crush them, which he then does once she's dead. But then I go over there and I'm like, what did you just do? I'm gonna call the cops. You're going to jail. And he goes, how could you when I can tell them you did this? And he pulls out a knife and slits his own wrist, and then pulls out a pencil sharpener and a pencil out of thin air and sharpens it, and then like holds that up like the pencil is what I cut him with, which looking back makes no sense, but in the dream I'm like, ah, damn it, I'm framed. He's got me. And then I wake up.